Yeah, I second.
Oh, roll call.
Oh, roll call. Andrew Jarvis. Sorry. He's talking to me.
Oh, Homer.
Todd?
Sorry, Homer City.
Off to a good
Councilman.
start.
Yeah, right. This
Kevin Graham.
I'm used to my left.
Except for
Sorry,
drinks,
you did it to the right, and I'm all out of.
Okay, has everybody reviewed the minutes? Is there any motions, comments?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll move on to the committee and staff report.
Nothing additional to report at this time, Mr. Chairperson.
Great, thank you. Okay, with that, I think we're ready for the first agenda item, which is the revised sign plan at 1539 North Andover Road for .9.
Yep, so Point Nine had their signs approved earlier this year, and they have come back to add an additional sign on the north face of the building. Currently, that north face only features one sign. It's the big logo sign with like the bike and the wine bottle, that kind of thing. They're adding this LED screen onto the corner there that would be visible if you're driving down Andover Road, moving south. And of course, you could see it off of Harrison as well. With the addition of this LED display, they would come right up against the maximum wall coverage for that face of the building, given its distance from the right of way. So as long as it complies with the brightness requirements for LED signs, staff finds no issue.
Is there a sign example like this in the city somewhere else?
There are a number of LED signs around.
This just looks more like a TV than a sign, but
It certainly does. And right,
So it'll be an image that changes.
probably
periodically
will
on a-
change.
okay.
It's not supposed to be animated per our sign code, but it can change the picture.
and is there going to be any other? I didn't notice any other framing or anything around this, or
This
it?
is what was submitted and is how it will be mounted.
It also looks like it's already up. Is that correct?
Just a really good Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you zoom into it in your packet.
Do we know if there'll be cords up to it or are those coming from behind? I mean, is any of that going to be visible? I wouldn't think it would be, but if this is a
That wasn't
later,
expressly communicated to us, but I would be shocked if they ran an extension cord around the outside of the building to this.
Well, you'd be shocked, but I guess I.
But I can't guarantee that's not the plan. They
Yeah,
did
yeah.
not tell us.
So, when we make that approval, is that something we can put in there that there's no, or will
Absolutely.
staff make sure that there's no?
Either way, you can make it our responsibility to get that assurance from them, or you can just add it as a condition that in order for the sign to be approved, it must not have visible wires or whatever.
I mean, personally, is there anyone here from representing them? Here? I mean, personally, I think that end of the site, if you will, that connects, that it needs some kind of trim around that. Obviously that's a future thing, but since they have a picture of it right there, I guess that's what I'm going to comment. But yeah, I definitely don't want to see any wires or anything like that other than what's there. And other LED signs in town are just TVs?
I'm not aware of any that are quite like this. Most of them are like inset into monuments, stuff like that. So I don't know if there's an example of this exact thing besides like a restaurant that has a TV up on the wall.
There's one at the culinary down on Kellogg. It's built into the sign, but it's a
Oh, it is
changing
it?
LED screen.
Right. So
Yeah,
I guess that's my
that's
thing.
what I was-
So
Similar. but
we're not going to ask for any kind of framing around this, or
You can.
Well, I think what would help it if it didn't have what I think that is appearing here is a bright silver
Mhm.
bezel around the outside. If it was black, I
Yeah, I
think it
think
would
it's
look more
black.
like
Yeah.
an LED screen that you're used to seeing.
Mhm.
Not, I mean, this looks more like a flat panel television to me, but
Can't really tell, but I don't know. I mean, it won't stick out too far from the wall because there's a sidewalk right there. So if people are coming up and down that sidewalk, I assume it's going to be pretty tight against there.
there's a 4-inch max typically
okay.
that would have to be within that range, but
I don't know if you've ever seen me after a couple glasses of wine and a bicycle, but
Yeah.
my shoulder would go through that LED, no problem.
Yeah, because I mean, those Onyx boxes are right up to the edge already.
Right? So, okay. And this is the only part of the revised site plan then that needs to be done? Is this screen?
Right. This is all that's being added.
The applicant got about the meeting, he said there will be a secure enclosure around the perimeter.
Oh, okay.
that's not shown here. Is that-
Something that would return back to the wall.
Is that Ben? Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the revised sign plan for .9 generally located at 1539 North Andover Road, to include no visible electrical, I guess, no visible fixtures coming from this view. We've talked about there's already a secure sign box around it. That would have been my only thing as far as aesthetics.
Second.
And the only thing I would add is just when you guys review this, there is a 4-inch, just from a cane detection accessibility thing, max projection on there. So you might just look at that housing to make sure we're underneath that tolerance. So any other comments, questions?
Mm.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Great. Okay, item 5.2 is the sign plan at 224 East Cloud Avenue, the leader smoke and tobacco.
So the applicant here wishes to put up some wall signs for the incoming business, both on the front and on the rear of the building. The front, of course, facing Cloud, and the rear facing Kellogg. These would be internally lit, and like the previous one, it comes right up against the maximum sign area for the sides of the building, given the existing signs in the other suite for the Great Clips, which are combined into the area of this one. So they're good to go.
Is this the old AT&T suite or whatever?
So I know we don't have the context of the Great Clips sign here. Is this one consistent size-wise with the Great Clips?
Yeah, I saw. I took a look at that to measure against this one. The Great Clips, like the letters, I think are larger, but the overall scale of the sign will look
Still
similar.
seems appropriate with this one.
Yeah.
Okay. And does Great Clips have one on the north side as
There's
well?
one on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a vape shop too? You know, I thought I saw that somewhere else. No?
I mean, I would assume, but
Oh,
it's not
okay.
really a part of this site plan approval.
Is there any leftover markings or fading or anything from an old sign or anything that was on that?
Not that I saw from a cursory look, but you can definitely require that if there are any, they be painted over.
And then how is it lit?
They're internal LEDs like most wall signs are nowadays. Shouldn't be terribly bright.
I think, I think I asked this last time, Julie, too. Just my concern for a lot of these signs that were proven is that I had another example. It was the Chick-fil-A at Central and Rock. They're red. And the only reason I say that is because their sign is red as well as this one. but it's peeling away again. And you said that was maybe because it was vinyl versus
Acrylic.
acrylic. And so what
Acrylic
is this
gets damaged
sign?
by the sun.
The what?
Acrylic gets damaged by the sun, by UV light.
But this is vinyl, so it won't be damaged by the sun.
I'm not sure if they gave us a material.
Are they here?
I think this is an out-of-state contractor, or at least out of the local area. But in order
Says
to put it up, they
aluminum.
would have to comply with one of the materials that we allow, which the vinyl is one of those.
And maybe that's something we do in the UDM refresher. But what'd you say it was? Plastic?
It says aluminum and plastic.
What's the
The side's probably aluminum and the face is acrylic, I'm guessing.
we approve it here, we approve the sign, however we have that, but then in a few years it's just cracked and doesn't look good. So it's like, I don't know what that looks like. I'm not saying we do it on this one, just for that discussion though.
Sure, there could be some provision about requiring that it be maintained to that standard
Right.
through environmental effects.
Same thing with like putting sprinklers in, right? I
Mhm.
mean, so similar idea, I guess, is what I'm thinking. Mr. Director,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the sign plan for the Leader Smoke and Tobacco generally located at 224 East Cloud Avenue. And although the pictures provided don't show any shadowing, if there is previous sign fading or lettering, that be repainted, washed, however, so. Thank you.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Next agenda item is 5.3, the sign plan at 611 West 13th Street.
Another sign for you. This one is for the Pearson Construction. Want to put a big logo circular sign onto one of the faces of their building that is itself facing I-35, so pretty high up off the ground in order to be visible there. It would also be internally lit, and given the very large wall area of this building, it comes nowhere near the maximum wall coverage, so perfectly fine on that front. I believe we do have an applicant here to speak on this one.
What frontage is that considered? Just curious.
13.
It's you're right. The like business itself fronts onto 13th, but this is like the back of the property that is up against I-35.
So you would still count 13th is this calculation for this, is what you're saying?
Oh, for that question,
Yeah.
it's whatever the nearest right of way is. So I-35 counts as a right of way. So
I
it's
see.
that very long frontage along I-35, but
Okay.
it's not the length along the frontage; it's the distance to it.
Got it.
And then as far as the light, I mean, there's not that much light coming off this, or there's not a light table right in here.
Right. It's to be lit internally illuminated, as it says there, and our just code requirements mean that it can't be so bright that it would be hazardous to drivers.
It does say 18 inches deep. I assume that's not correct, but maybe it is correct. It's 18 inches front to back deep depth. Okay.
From the wall to the face of the sign.
Okay.
It's large, but it is permitted.
The reason they asked to be 18 inches deep is to get the face.
Sir, if you could step to the podium so it's recorded, that'd be great. Just state your name and where
Yeah,
you're from.
Colin Hagler with Trimark. So as I was saying, the reason that the face has to be that distance from the back of the sign is where the LEDs are placed. If they're too close to the face of the sign, you'll actually see the LEDs through the face. So when it's further back, it gives it a more even lighting effect.
Makes sense.
To be honest with you, I kind of like the rendering of in the dark or whatever. I think it'll look, pretty cool. Look really cool if it said like the city of Andover underneath it or something like that. But
Well, I'm
just-
sure if the city of Andover wanted to foot part of the cost of the sign piercing, consider that.
right. No, I think it'll look good, Mr. Director.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the sign plan for Pearson Construction, generally located at 611 West 13th Street.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. And I also just wanted to say I appreciate the staff for accommodating us and getting on this meeting agenda because we were a little late in submitting. So thank you for allowing us to come and take care of that tonight.
Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item is 5.4, the preliminary site plan at 420 West Mike Street.
Very exciting. This is not a sign. This is a preliminary site plan for a proposed selection of duplexes to go over adjacent to the Teradyne Golf Course. It's an area that has a bunch of multifamily housing already, and the owner would like to develop this property to be similar. Wanted to get some comments from you all on this proposed site layout before putting together a formal site plan submittal in the future to come back and get that for their permit. Total of 4 duplexes, which is 8 dwelling units, and the proposed parking would meet the required parking, although the design may change. Duplexes. Similar to
Are they
the
stacked on top of each
yeah,
other?
like if you've seen Paul Gray's
Mhm.
development that he's working on, it's similar to that, the Hodges. And we have an applicant here for this as well.
You said this is by Paul's Homes?
No, it's
Similar to what he
similar
built.
design.
Okay.
This is over by the Teradyne Golf Course. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac that is Mike.
I guess I jotted down a few notes on this one. A lot of this is in the UDM. When you've got a sidewalk adjacent to parking stalls, making sure that minimum width is 7 feet. I didn't get a chance to get this into Bluebeam, so I could scale this off, but looks like just how that's drawn, maybe that's a 5-footer. And so this site is obviously very tight. Looking at this layout. So that was one of them. As a part of the site plan process is to get coordinated with fire. I don't know if this got distributed to them. The overall length exceeds 150 feet, but you may be able to get a dead end fire lane and still get your coverage. So that would just be something for fire to look at when a final site plan's submitted. Trash. It's very long distance for a trash truck to back up. There's not really the ability for a trash truck to turn around. So if they're driving north into this site to where the trash enclosure is shown, it's a long way for them to back up all the way back south. So I don't know if there's any other creative ways of repositioning that trash enclosure. There's not a lot of room to be able to provide a turnaround for them. So just, maybe coordination with waste management to make sure that's not going to be an issue, or if there's other ways to not lose units, but think of other solutions on trash access. Look like from street view, there was maybe a old electric service. There's a pole right at the southeast corner. There's look like a service line that comes into the site. I assume that's going to get removed, but that'd be coordinated with the electric provider. And then my last one was there's an existing tree row to the west that separates the site from the golf course. Just looking at street view and on this, it wasn't clear where those tree trunks sit. Looks like there's maybe a fence line on the golf course property. If those trees are not on this property and they've got to be preserved, I guess my question would be, how feasible is it to build this and keep those trees, or would those trees have to get removed to make this site work. So again, just things to think about. In the UDM, there's additional things that'll come with your site plan. Looking at drainage, looking at landscape requirements, and so this is obviously just an initial sketch, but things like that to look at as you're presenting a final package of this layout. It's very tight, and that's evident. So just want to make sure there's enough space.
And this cul-de-sac's existing? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Street is a cul-de-sac, right?
Is it guttered and paved, or is it
To my
rock
knowledge,
and
it is paved.
ditch?
I'm just thinking if that is the line.
Yeah, because a lot of times surveyors are kind of pick up the canopy, and it's like, where's the trunk? Who owns the tree, regardless of where the canopy is. But yeah, it looks like it may overhang where those buildings are.
And I think when we've reviewed these before, a few other items that have come up are where are the mechanical units located on the site. So we appreciate seeing those when we're reviewing them, and also the photometric studies become important with these as well. Just looking at the surrounding areas. So
And then Julie or Les, to the east is residence or no?
Yeah, there's a bunch of other multifamily around here. It's duplexes and stuff like that.
Same to the north?
Yes, it's all zoned for the
But
same.
There's
west,
no need to
west is the golf course?
West adjacent is the golf course. Yeah,
There's no need to screen between this use and the use to the east.
and the buildings to the east. No,
Correct.
so
Okay.
just this. Yeah,
Yeah, because the drive's shown a foot off the property line, and if you
Right.
had to fit a green screen or a fence or something,
Right.
it may.
yeah.
May be
This
tricky.
shape is kind of dictated by the odd shape of the property. You've all seen the aerial that drawn in on the bottom there is actually where the cul-de-sac is. It's not just.
And you said it won't need screening?
We won't need additional screening on that eastern side because the
Because
use
the
is
other
same.
ones are the same type?
Right. And the zoning for this is already in place. The property owner rezoned it, I believe it was last year.
Do we know, are they gonna have to raise the level of the ground or anything? Yeah, sure.
For that.
When I had the old house, because there was an old house there that was falling apart. I don't know if you guys ever drove by it, but it was like pretty dilapidated. So I got a permit to demolish that. And then the guy, when I did that, the guy that does the dirt work, he said it's pretty flat because the house was there and it doesn't really flood. When they built those additional units to the north along that line, there were some problems with holding water, but Paul, the guy that developed all those, and I trimmed them all, he added a line to try to drain that water out. But there's no water being held there. I've watched it, driven by it for the last 3 years, and I built them all. So there's no drainage issues at all in that area.
and we know that the parking lot count is sufficient for.
Yeah, for this number of units, they have depicted enough parking. I think
Okay.
they have one more space than they're required to.
Okay.
Is Main Street on the block north of this? Do you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I believe so. With the trees, most of them are pretty overgrown anyway, so they would need to be trimmed, not just
Hedgerows
branches
or
and
whatever.
stuff like that. I mean, there's sufficient coverage that you wouldn't see it from the golf course. They're tall enough that it shouldn't really be an issue, I guess.
Yeah, just zooming out on the trees, basically all the way from the turnpike to the south corner of the golf course. It's a continuous tree row. I'd hate to, if we can avoid it, I'd hate to just lop them all off and you've got a little notch out of your trees. So yeah, you can clean stuff up, limb
Yeah.
them up, trim, if there's just kind of junk stuff on the ground,
That's
obviously
kinda
that
what
can
it
be
is
cleaned
now.
up. but-
They're pretty, they're just kind of trim them a little bit, but we wouldn't want to also the trees are there to kind of block the golf balls too. So
Correct.
we wouldn't want to remove that and interfere with, the aesthetics of the golf. People looking at, they wouldn't see the buildings at all because those trees are pretty big. They're hedge trees. They're pretty thick anyways. So.
Yeah, just adding to that from the survey, the trees are to the west. I think the property corner is basically the hedgerow. I think at one point that's kind of what they planted as the property line was that hedgerow. So the intent will be to keep as much as possible and just kind of clean things up. Did have one question. This was kind of brought up in correspondence with City of Wichita about the water. They had some concerns. This was 2 lots. So it's lot 21 is the north half, lot 22 is the south half. With that, it sounds like they're wanting us to combine this into 1 lot. So it was something of, is this something we need to do for the sewer as well? Are we gonna need to look at maybe replatting this as part of it? This was some questions they raised concern for them. I think they also think this is in Wichita. So there's kind of some stuff there. So just wanted to ask that for you guys, see if you see any need for that. I know Les and I had some discussion before about utilities. I don't think that process would be required, but wanted to get your thoughts on it.
We see no reason to replat it. Lots are combined on a regular basis.
Yeah, the legal for this is part of lots 21 and 22. With
I think as long as you had easements in place for a private sewer line crossing that easement. So again, I doubt you're going to sell off the north. That looks like the lot line actually runs through one of the buildings.
No, the intent's to keep these together.
Yeah.
That was kind of the question is, are we gonna need easements for crossing? I think it's 22 is the south. Are we gonna need an easement crossing that lot for both the water and sewer? Because we're proposing 4 separate private lines, 2-inch lines for the water and a single 8-inch lateral that'll connect to all buildings on the back of the rear of the lots.
Have you guys looked at hydrant coverage? Is there existing hydrant nearby? I was pulling up the GIS map
It's
now.
on the southwest, or basically the west end of the cul-de-sac. There's a fire hydrant right there at the end.
Yeah, thinking through reasons for City of Wichita, if you had to do a larger service or add a hydrant, they get into play. I'd imagine if these are all just small services, you may be able to avoid that process with the City of Wichita.
could you give us your name for the meeting record?
Yep, Kobe Pietro with Cal Valley Engineering.
Thanks.
Agent on the project.
I know we've had recently some, talk come up in regards to, drainage and stuff for, properties since this is paved and guttered. I don't see too much of a runoff issue considering your west sides, the golf course, north sides, other developments like this, but just keep that in mind when you guys are talking about raising dirt, not raising dirt, where does that water go? But just, on the back side of it, even though it goes off your property, it's still going to go to somebody's property. If that's going in the gutter and down the wastewater sewer, that's one thing, but just, keep in mind the other properties. But like you said, the other properties, you're in tune with, so that's fine, but just keep that in mind, please.
With the final site plan will require a grading plan.
Yes, we'll have a grading plan. The intent's to have all surface drainage on this that'll feed into Mike Street. So site's pretty much sloping from the northwest corner down to the southeast corner. So we'll kind of keep the existing drainage pattern and keep pushing it down to the existing inlets down there in Mike.
And there's no action needed from us tonight, right?
I don't believe so.
This is
Right, this is
Preliminary
purely
review.
for comment.
Yeah.
Give your feedback.
All right. think that's all the questions I had, so I appreciate your guys' time.
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, appreciate you guys bringing this in and letting us take a look. I think that takes us to the end unless there's any other comments.
Got 30 minutes to vote.
30 minutes to vote.
Okay.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second it. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Todd.
Welcome back.